But that is the update.
Now we're going to turn to
Now let's talk about Alec Baldwin.
the Rust film set shooting. Prosecutors saying actor Alec Baldwin and the film's armorer each facing 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the deadly shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Lindsay Davis is in Santa Fe, New Mexico with the latest for us. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning to you, Michael. Stunning charges here for the actor and the armorer. The district attorney says that they're warranted, though, citing a criminal disregard for safety. She says that there's a point where negligence becomes recklessness, and in this case, it caused.
If Tay put your name on the list, would you go over there just for the content? Fuck no, man. What are you, crazy? Why the fuck would I do that? That's insane. Why would I go to fucking Romania, dude, for Andrew Tate? Like, yeah, dude, I definitely. I fully believe Hassan would go. Yeah, totally. Dude, I've had infinitely better opportunities for travel, for like actually fun shit. Okay, to more fun countries to visit as well. Aiden can always start a dance group in front of the prison Tate's in. I hear that's the next unique step in showing loyalty. Okay, first of all, what this person is referencing is Nexium, the sex cult, and that actually did happen in Brooklyn. So not wrong. That probably will happen. All right, let's watch
Someone
the
to
Alec
die.
Baldwin situation.
Alec Baldwin is waking up to a new reality this morning. The Oscar-nominated actor faces criminal charges for the 2021 fatal shooting on the set of the movie Rust.
A person died because of this negligence, because of this recklessness.
The Santa Fe, New Mexico district attorney announced that Baldwin, along with the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, will be charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. The film's assistant director, Dave Halls, is agreeing to a plea deal for negligent use of a deadly weapon.
3 different people, if they had only done their job, we wouldn't be standing here.
Gutierrez-Reed's
For those of you who don't know what happened, like in Hollywood, they use blanks, okay? It's basically a bullet, but it doesn't have the actual bullet that like fires off. So it only has the first half of the bullet, and it still explodes, okay? It still explodes like an actual bullet. You have the cartilage or whatever it's called, but no projectile, okay? It has the casing, not cartilage. In this circumstance, isn't that how Bruce Lee's son died? Brandon Lee on the set of Crow died because one of the casings was stuck inside the chamber, and the second bullet fired, the second blank that fired basically shot the casing through like a projectile, as you would with a bullet. Cartridge is what I was thinking of, not cartilage, but it propelled it forward like a bullet, because ultimately a bullet is just like a piece of metal, like, you know what I mean? That's what it is. That's what shoots you. It's packed with fucking gunpowder. The thing that flies out of the gun is just packed with gunpowder, and it ejects. So if it doesn't actually shoot anything at the tip of it, and if it's just a gunpowder, full of, it's a gunpowder-filled casing, then it's nothing. You just get the same effect of a real bullet exploding. In this circumstance, I believe that was it that I don't remember. I need to refresh myself on this case. But in this particular instance, I think it like what was it? Was it actually fired in close distance? Or Ifet Lib explains gun shit. I mean, I can explain fucking your mom in terms that, you would probably not want to hear, because I do know that. Your mom loves this effeminate liberal shit, okay? Suck my cock. Stupid. Which is what I said to your mom, actually. Not stupid, but I said suck my cock. She likes it when I talk to her like that. Yes, blanks can still be dangerous at point blank because it's still like firing off something. You know what I mean? But in this instance, I believe there was a live bullet.
Attorney released a statement saying these charges are the result of a very flawed investigation and an inaccurate understanding of the full facts. Hannah will be exonerated of wrongdoing by a jury. Baldwin's attorney says the actor relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. We will fight these charges, and we will win. The 64-year-old actor was holding a prop gun and rehearsing a scene when the Colt 45 revolver discharged, firing off a live round, striking and killing Hutchins and injuring director Joel Souza.
Why did you believe and ultimately decide that you had a strong enough case to bring charges against both Hannah and Alec?
They were not doing the things that they should have been doing in order to have a safety conscious and certainly with guns, a gun conscious movie set.
According to court documents, both Halls and Gutierrez-Reed handled the gun before it was handed over to Baldwin.
I'm not gonna lie, unless there's additional details that I'm not privy to, okay, it is kind of wild that like Alec Baldwin gets clapped on this. Like, there might be extra details that I'm unfamiliar with, like he knew the weight of the gun or something, but like it is like it's not his fault as the person who probably had no fucking idea that the gun had like a real bullet in it, a live bullet in it. As an executive producer, he bears some level of responsibility, but I don't know. Like he bears a level of responsibility because like he bears a level of responsibility on everything that happens on the work site because you're like technically the boss of everyone. So the conditions that on that work site are still technically conditions that he has control over. But ultimately, there are plenty of producers involved in a massive project like this, and I've only seen, and I might be wrong, I've only seen Alec Baldwin be charged with this negligence or involuntary manslaughter.
Do you feel guilt?
No. I feel that there is. I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Months after the incident, Baldwin told our George Stephanopoulos that he did not pull the trigger.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
Prosecutors say otherwise.
What?
The trigger had to have been pulled. So.
Wait, what? Bro, what the fuck is going on? If I recall correctly, after working on film sets, every person who handles a gun, including the actor, is supposed to check it individually, so it gets checked at every step. These are industry protocols, but it is still surprising to me that he's charged. Wait, what the fuck? I think the issue lies with the fact that the gun has been reported to be misfiring and there was safety negligence on set. There were 3 previous discharges before Helena was shot. Crew was walking off for safety concerns. He pulled the trigger. It was impossible for it not to be pulled. Yes, I remember these aspects of the production, and this is like his liability overall. I don't know if it's like if it meets the metal of legal scrutiny, but his liability overall in this circumstance, in everything that happened, everything that took place, was that he created the conditions for an unsafe work environment. But as a producer on this, he played a role in creating the conditions for an unsafe work environment. But I also don't know. Okay, I want to see
Jesse Weber.
I want to see someone else describe this shit.
Now he's an attorney and the anchor and host with Law and Crime Network. Really good to see you because you always give us such great insight. So I'm really glad you're here. My first question was when I heard what the charges are. You know, when someone is killed, there are various charges. Murder wasn't one of them. Why manslaughter?
Everybody knows this wasn't intentional. Nobody's saying Alec Baldwin intended to shoot this gun. This was a mistake. The question is it a criminal mistake? And I think what's really fascinating about this was he wasn't just hit with one charge of involuntary manslaughter, but 2. Now, let's be clear. Charges haven't officially been filed. They will be filed.
Bro, him fucking hiring scabs and union busting is not a fact that I'm avoiding. But as it pertains to him, like, as it pertains to his, like, legal liability and involuntary manslaughter, I do not think that this is irrelevant. Okay, you keep mentioning this, but like that's an irrelevant conversation piece. Like we're talking about whether or not he is criminally liable.
But it's been indicated that it's going to be 2 counts. That gives a jury even more room to find him guilty because they could say either it was negligence or it was something even greater than negligence. So this is not a case of murder. This is just a case. Did he have a duty to do something? And did he violate that duty? And it's going to all come down to whether or not he pulled that trigger. I will tell you this right now. This is going to be a battle of the experts. You're going to have experts saying there's no way that gun could have gone off unless you pull the trigger. And someone on his side saying, well, if you cock the gun back, it could have accidentally gone off. That's going to be up for a jury.
Guys, it's fucking not relevant because, oh my God, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay, everybody shut the fuck up. 100% in a capitalist court system, no one is caring about routine scab hiring practices as it pertains to a legal matter. What the fuck are you talking about, okay? You're talking about like a moral conversation, which I agree with. Yes, it is immoral to hire scabs on its own, okay? And this is one of the many consequences of hiring scabs is that you have a less safe work environment. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this as like someone died. The main point of contention here is Alec Baldwin supposed to check the chamber before firing it, okay? Or did he actually cock the gun and the gun fell and fired? Ultimately, though, if there is no reason for him to fire in that scene like they're saying, and he didn't actually fire the gun like he's claiming, and it actually fell or something, okay? Which, by the way, there's cameras everywhere. Holy fuck. There would be footage of the process. Okay? Ultimately, should he have known? Should he have checked? Or should he not have checked? That's what the conversation is about. A scab is a non-union replacement. Okay? The armor, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, was inexperienced and negligent. This was her second movie as head armorer. Got the job because her dad was a big name armorer. I remember that. But I also think that she was a union armorer. I don't think that she's non-union. I thought the people that were working. Okay, oh my God, we're talking about like aspects of this conversation that we'll get to in a second. Hold on.
Jury.
Mm-hmm. And just quickly,
why you just say shit? Because I fucking covered this. I covered this like last year, and I don't remember it. I don't remember a lot of the key details, which I'm trying to fucking make. I'm trying to get a better understanding of right now. And it's the worst thing to do when it's a story that came out yesterday. So all of your other favorite content creators have covered it with their own flavor and their own fucking seasoning. So now you're just repeating their talking points to me in the most contentious manner possible while I'm trying to fucking comprehend what exactly happened. And when I ask a question, you literally still shove shit down my goddamn throat instead of letting me get to it and understand the exact details of a situation, okay? I do not have an infinite amount of motherfucking hours to basically cover every single thing. Sometimes I have to cover it in real time. Sometimes you might have already developed your opinions because you watched another content creator cover it. That doesn't mean that this is your opportunity to try and debate lord me while I'm trying to fucking understand what happened. Am I having a meltdown? Stun lock, scabs on my cock? Fuck you.
what sort of sentence would he be facing?
Okay, so that's a great question because for that second charge, there's a firearm enhancement, which means if a jury finds him guilty, that is a mandatory 5 years in prison. Mm-hmm. That's what makes this so significant. They're really going after Baldwin here.
Now, Alec Baldwin is not one to sort of hold his tongue. And as you know, he's done interviews and he's been kind of all over the map about the gun in his hand, what he knew, what he didn't know. Did he even pull the trigger? But this whole time, I thought there's someone on the set whose job it is to manage these guns. It's the armorer. She is now facing charges as well. But why is Alec Baldwin and the armorer both facing the same set of charges when it was her responsibility on the set of a movie to keep track of these firearms?
The argument would be that there was failed responsibility across the board. How did the bullet get into the gun? That's her whole job. And we know that that bullet wasn't the only live round that was found on the set. I believe there were 5 other rounds. So it was her job to make sure that that round never even got in the gun. And Alec Baldwin, as an actor and a producer on that film, he shouldn't have cocked the gun and pulled the trigger. At least that's what the allegation is. So there's blame to go around. And Dave Hall's taking that deal, in my eyes, he's going to be the star witness. He's going to be a cooperating witness testifying against Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez-Reed.
Jesse Weber, we have to let you go for now, but I know we're going to probably pick this conversation up later on as things get underway with.
If you fire a gun, you're responsible for whatever happens next. You're right, except this is the one instance where you don't think you're firing a gun with a fucking bullet in it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not a fake gun. It can and has shot real bullets. But you also have to understand that this is literally one of the few instances where you are literally under the assumption that, like, if an accident even happens, it's not supposed to, like, literally fire a bullet. Several IATSE crew members on the New Mexico set of the Western Rust, where cinematographer Halyna Hutchins was killed on Thursday by a prop gun shot by Alec Baldwin, reportedly quit the production because they felt producers were not following safety guidelines, according to numerous reports. Rust began shooting on October 6. The safety issues that several crew members walked off the set for was over gun safety procedures, other safety issues, and COVID protocols not being followed. Other safety issues, which meant crew members had to go for much longer treks back and forth for cheaper hotels. I remember that stuff. That literally leads them to have less downtime, less fucking time to sleep. More mistakes happen in that process. The production had also allegedly refused to pay for hotel rooms in pricey Santa Fe, asking some crew members to stay in Albuquerque instead, a 1-hour drive from the ranch. That's huge because that cuts 2 extra hours from your sleep time. Okay? Especially when you're on an insane, especially when you're doing like 17-hour days, like every fucking hour that you have to sleep is profoundly important. This is like a big deal as it pertains to this issue, okay? This is a big deal. This is something that I covered, something that I talked about at the time, as I recall, okay? Producers called security on the crew members who submitted their resignations to ask them to leave the location. The fatal shooting is said to have occurred about 6 hours after the union crew members left. After the accident, a 911 caller was heard telling a crew member they were supposed to check the guns and placing the blame on them, TMZ reported. Hutchins and Steadicam operator were the only original crew members who remained in the camera and electrical departments, and the other positions have been replaced with non-union members, according to a source with knowledge of the situation. Okay, so they did hire scabs. They got people, and for those of you who don't know, scabs are usually less experienced, hired help. At times when there's like a walkout or any sort of strike, any sort of work stoppage, the Capitol owner, in this circumstance, Alec Baldwin being one of the people, will go in and hire new people to come in. Oftentimes they're not as experienced. Oftentimes they don't have enough time to understand the severity of the situation. And accidents can happen. If we're talking about guns being used on the work site, this kind of accident is even more likely and even more costly. A crew member said that there had already been other prop gun misfires before Thursday's fatal accident. There have also been social media reports from people identifying themselves as members of the Rust crew that claim the production was poorly funded and lacked sufficient oversight. The Rust producers released a statement Friday saying they were not aware of the complaints, but would conduct an internal review of the procedures. The safety of our cast and crew is top priority. Ironic. We will continue to cooperate with the Santa Fe authorities in their investigation and offer mental health services to the cast and crew in this tragic time. The New Mexico Occupational Health and Safety Bureau released a statement saying it's investigating the incident. And they learned through the New Mexico Film Office of a workplace fatality and an injury to a second person that occurred during filming of a movie set in Santa Fe County. And the OHSB is investigating the incident in coordination with law enforcement, the employer, and employees. No additional information will be released at the time. Yes, this example is one I cite often when talking about scabs. John Deere tried hiring scab workers and immediately had a tractor crash in its plant. John Deere had a work stoppage UAW was on strike at this facility, and they brought in front office people. They brought in front office people and other scabs to come in and do the fucking heavy machinery work, and they did not know how to control the machinery, and they had a bunch of workplace accidents. As the owner of that business, do I think he is morally responsible for the events that took place? I do. Okay? Do I believe that a court system in the United States of America would charge a business owner, like a capital owner in that process? I don't think so. Now, are there additional steps that Alec Baldwin was supposed to take, like checking the gun himself? I don't know if he's supposed to check the gun and he didn't check the gun. If it was a scene where he was not supposed to fire the gun, does that mean he's criminally liable? I don't know. Does that make sense? Because in a situation where, like, it's clearly defined that when you have a gun on set, okay, even if it has a blank in it, you're supposed to check the gun. Whether it's a scene that has a gunfire in it or not, then Alec Baldwin is liable, criminally liable. If it's supposed to be that you're supposed, if there is a rule that you are supposed to check it, if it's a scene where you're shooting it, and this scene did not actually feature him shooting it, then maybe he's not liable. I don't know. If it's a scene where he was not supposed to shoot it, but he still shot it personally, is he liable? Yes. I think so. Anyway, let's see what the rest of this is, though.
Alec is wrong.
Lisa Tarraco, the attorney for Assistant Director Halls, who helped arrange his plea deal, says her client now has closure.
He can move on, and the Hutchins family can move on. This was the best resolution that could happen, because at least a part of this case is resolved, and it's going to be peace for these people.
Crew member Thomas Gandy was near Helena Hutchins that fateful day.
My trust in anybody handling prop weapons, it's much thinner than it ever used to be. I would just say don't take it for granted ever again.
Despite this tragedy, producers intend to finish the film. Hutchins' husband is now an executive producer as part of a wrongful death settlement.
There's lots of this. They were reloaded rounds mixed in with the blanks. Why was a real gun needed for a scene with no shot fired? If so, why was it loaded? Why was the assistant director handing Baldwin a gun? Why did Baldwin take it? Who told him to do that? Seems negligent, but it's not malicious. I mean, it's still involuntary manslaughter. As far as the main armorer goes, a lot of chat jumped down my throat. But was she a scab? Immediately, chat was like, "You're fucking wrong," but I don't think she was. I think she was hired for the film as the unionized armorer. She's a Nepo baby, yes, but I don't think she was a scab. I don't think she was scabbing. I don't think it's clear. Union workers said that the corners were cut. Yeah, I know. But why the fuck did people go absolute bananas mode on my ass when I said that the main armorer was who was a nepotism hire, certainly, was a unionized, was a inexperienced but still union worker. Yeah. Oh, by the way, this is the difference between a blank and a regular bullet. Like we've shown this before on this broadcast.
There is an email from September 21st between Baldwin's assistant and others saying that Baldwin wanted to find out who's in charge of the guns. So instead of reading the complaint, I'm just going to read the email that they enclosed in the complaint. The formatting on this is excellent, by the way. I mean, there's not a drop shadow. You know how tickled I get by a drop shadow in a complaint. It's always a delight. But the formatting on this really has been excellent, with all of the emails, text messages, and other discovery that they've put directly into the complaint. It's quite a lot of information. So this is an email back and forth about Alec Baldwin's fitting from September 12th, 2021. Good morning, Jonah. Thank you so much for setting up and testing the Zoom thing with me. We had perfect reception for Alec's look over the clothes. He wanted me to ask you to find out who was in charge of the guns on this movie and get him some shooting lessons. He also mentioned that whoever is in charge of the gun belts, I believe that is props, should research to see if they had shoulder holsters, because he would prefer that to a big waist belt. So I'm assuming they're asking about shoulder holsters being time period appropriate and wanting to wear that versus wanting to wear a big gun belt, which can be uncomfortable, I suppose. They also then go into a bit about the size of his shoes and other items with regard to costuming. So he's asking again for training. They then talk about the hiring of Gutierrez Reed, that Baldwin had no role in hiring her, that Gutierrez Reed reached out to Seth Kinney to ask whether he knew of any available armorer jobs. Kinney connected her with Sarah Zachary, the head of props, who then passed her name along to the Rust production managers, who ultimately hired her. Procurement of ammunition and prop weapons. Zachary and Gutierrez Reed were responsible for sourcing and procuring the weapons and ammunition used on the Rust set. Kinney and his company PDQ were, doesn't that mean pretty darn quick or pretty damn quick? Isn't it just like, is this what we're doing? Pretty damn quick. It's just this. One would think. So Kinney and his company PDQ were the primary weapons and ammunition supplier for the movie Rust. In early October 2021, Zachary and Gutierrez Reed met with Kinney to collect prop weapons and dummy ammunition to be used on the set of Rust. Police photos, and for those of you listening on audio, I will try to timestamp this so you can come over to where this part is and look at the photos that show the prop house in disarray. It looks like a house location or a house converted into a business location to me. But it is not well organized, though. One of the things does look like a pile of like
yes, cinemarxism. I was going to point to this is a good find. Something like this happened 10 years ago, where the Hollywood director, pled guilty to manslaughter in Midnight Rider saga. Early last year, when 27-year-old camera assistant Sarah Jones was killed on a railroad bridge in Georgia, film director Randall Miller was charged with involuntary manslaughter and criminal trespass. His team had been shooting a scene for Midnight Rider, a storybook about rock star Greg Allman, when a train traveling about 55 miles sent the crew scattering. Jones was killed. Miller pleaded not guilty. Then he changes his mind. Miller, perhaps best known for the director of Bottle Shock, pleaded guilty on Monday to both charges and was sentenced to 2 years prison, followed by 8 years of probation. Film's executive producer Jay Sedrish also pleaded guilty and accepted 10 years of probation. The moment marked a rare one in Hollywood film history, when a filmmaker accepted blame for a fatal accident on set, entertainment industry attorneys told the Los Angeles Times. So obviously it's not like an exact comparison, given that this is like an accidental discharge. But it's an instance where someone who has control over the set is pleading guilty to the unsafe work conditions that he is creating. Now, but this is someone pleading guilty and accepting a plea deal versus choosing to fight it. It's so that's the difference. Do you know what I mean? Like, if these people were to choose to fight it, would they have won? I don't know. Garland told the Washington Post that Miller accepted a plea deal to spare his wife and business partner Jody Savin from the same charges and to bring an end to the uncertainty. The couple have 2 children, and Miller did not want to risk his wife being put behind bars. After sentencing, he was taken to Wayne County Jail. Although we had defenses, Garland said, he knew it was appropriate for the head of the film company to accept the responsibility for the unfortunate accidental death of this lovely young woman. Filmmakers were preparing to shoot a dream scene with Hurt, who was to play Allman, the Doctortown Railroad trestle that stretches across the Altamaha River in rural Georgia. The crew put a metal bed frame on the tracks where Hurt was supposed to lie down. Miller's attorney said Miller was told that 2 trains use that route every day. So after the second train passed through, the crew started setting up the scene. Then an unexpected third train came barreling down the tracks, smashing into the bed frame and sending metal shards towards the crew. The only viable means for the crew on the trestle bridge to escape the path of the oncoming train was to run southwest to get off the bridge and off to the side of the railroad tracks, court documents read. This required the crew to run towards the train. While the crew had been told that they would have 60 seconds to remove themselves, the equipment in the hospital bed from the trestle bridge, the train approached with rapid speed, and the crew had less than 60 seconds to react. That is fucking nightmarish. Several members of the crew, including Sarah, were not able to escape the path of the oncoming train, and some crew members' equipment and hospital bed remained on the trestle bridge as the train approached. Sarah Jones was hit by the edge of the fuel tank and was run over by the train. She died instantly. It was an accident. They thought that there would only be 2 trains. There was a third train that came through, and it killed one of the people there. The defense claimed that Miller had permission to film from Rayonier, a paper company that owns the land, but the prosecutor said the company that owns the track, CSX Transportation, denied permission to Miller's crew. Johnson said Miller knew he wasn't allowed to film there. Johnson said the filmmakers even tried to write around that scene, according to the Associated Press. He was on the tracks himself and would never have put himself or the welfare of his wife and children in danger if he hadn't been assured the trains weren't coming. I worked at the Superior Oil Refinery in Wisconsin during scaffolding. The scaffolding companies refused to use yo-yos or cages required by union on the ladders. Some people ended up dying. Cost cutting ends up creating these workplace safety issues. And rarely do you ever see a business owner or someone who is in charge of that on the work site take responsibility. Alec Baldwin Alec Baldwin in this circumstance is basically like he plays a more over-encompassing role on the set of Rust, as far as I understand, which is why he would be liable. But as far as his involvement as an actor, if as an actor he did this, I don't think that I don't know if his legal case would be as open and shut. Safety protocols are standard in the industry, including gun inspections, were not strictly followed on the Rust set, sources have said. 3 crew members who were present at the Bonanza Creek Ranch set on Saturday said they were particularly concerned about 2 accidental prop gun discharges. Baldwin's stunt double accidentally fired 2 rounds Saturday after being told that the gun was cold, lingo for a weapon that doesn't have any ammunition, including blanks. 2 crew members who witnessed the episode told Los Angeles Times, I remember this. There should have been an investigation into what happened, a crew member said. There were no safety meetings. There was no assurance that it wouldn't happen again. All they wanted to do was rush. A colleague was so alarmed by the prop gun misfires that he sent a text message to the unit production manager. We've now had 3 accidental discharges. This is super unsafe, according to a copy of the message reviewed by the Times. The safety of our cast and crew is the top priority of Rust Productions and everyone associated with the company, though we were not made aware of any official complaints. Well, someone didn't bring it up the ladder, not knowing, not sure if they would even listen to those considerations if they were brought up. But, The tragedy occurred Thursday morning during filming of a gunfight that began in a church that is part of the old Western Town Ranch. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was huddled around a monitor lining up her next camera shot when she was accidentally killed by the prop gun fired by Baldwin. The actor was preparing to film a scene in which he pulls a gun out of a holster, according to a source close to the production. A crew member had already shouted "cold gun" on the set. The filmmaking team was lining up its camera angles and had yet to retreat to the video village, an on-set area where the crew gathers to watch filming from a distance via a monitor. Instead, the B camera operator was on a dolly with a monitor checking out the potential shots. Hutchins was also looking at the monitor from over the operator's shoulder, as was the movie's director, Joel Souza, who was crouching just behind her. Baldwin removed the gun from its holster once without incident, but the second time he did so, ammunition flew through toward the trio and around the monitor. The projectile whizzed by the camera operator but penetrated Hutchins near her shoulder, then continued through Souza. Hutchins immediately fell to the ground as crew members applied pressure to her wound in an attempt to stop the bleeding. A crew member had shouted "cold gun" on set. In what situations would you need to use live rounds on a movie set? I don't think you ever need that. Ammunition flew is such a goddamn weird way to say he fired the gun. Yeah, because and the reason why they're using neutral language in that situation is because, like, what do you think he intended to, like, pull out the gun and shoot the fucking the cinematographer? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, yes, you think Alec Baldwin was like, I'm gonna fucking kill the cinematographer? Like, come on, guys. I'm not a fan of the fucking guy, but, like, Jesus Christ. Like, oh yeah, he was like, I want to taste what murder feels like. Like, that's insane. A lot of the chatters are saying he has the responsibility to check the gun. I'm not certain on that. I don't think so. What the fuck does Alec Baldwin know about blanks versus real bullets, too? There is a reason why you have an armorer on set. Like, I don't think that as an actor, he is supposed to. If we're operating as though he's just an actor, like, what does he know? Does he know the difference between blanks versus real bullets? Can you tell the difference between a blank and a real bullet immediately, especially if it's inside of a revolver, without unloading the gun and then putting it back in, putting the bullets back in piece by piece? You can't. You literally can't unless you are turning the barrel around, or if you take the bullets out and then put it back in. If anything, they probably would tell the actor not to even fucking check it. Especially because if it's being handled by someone who is not professionally fucking able to understand what they're controlling, that's how you get another fucking bullet lodged in the chamber. If you don't reload the gun properly, that's how accidents happen. So I would be very surprised if they actually were like, the actor literally has to check the gun. The fuck does the actor know about the gun? Why the fuck did they hire an armorer then? Then yeah, no, it's supposed to be the actor. Key info on cold gun details. Yeah, this is huge. An assistant director handed Alec Baldwin a prop firearm and yelled "cold gun" before the actor fired the weapon, killing cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and injuring director Joel Souza, according to the court document. The cold gun remark was meant to indicate that the weapon did not have live rounds, according to an affidavit for a search warrant for the movie set filed by the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office and obtained by CNN affiliate KOAT. According to the affidavit, Baldwin was handed one of the 3 prop guns by assistant director David Halls that were set up in a cart by an armorer for the movie Rust. I don't even know why the assistant director is the one who's giving him the gun. Halls did not know that there were live rounds in the gun, the affidavit said. That's what the first AD does? I thought that, like, when it comes to special effects and shit like that, or when it comes to guns, every single element of that is supposed to be handled not by, like, any of the other people, but specifically by the specialists. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's a reason why you fucking hire a specialist. Like, can you imagine? Does the AD also do the pyrotechnics? You know what I mean? That's insane to me. I don't know, but I'm looking at this critically, and it feels crazy. Now, you can make the argument that the AD is not supposed to be handling the gun, but is handling the gun in that circumstance because the production is dog shit, and they are literally fucking running on fumes. They've walked away from the site beforehand. They have scabs on the fucking set. But I'm pretty sure when you're handling a gun, there are rules, specifically rules surrounding who touches the gun. Because when you have someone giving you the certainty that the gun is cold, that someone can't be a random individual. Like, it can't be the fucking editor. You know what I mean? Like, they're not. I thought that it was supposed to be that the armorer is supposed to literally give the gun directly to the person. Maybe I'm wrong. I talked to my friend who works in Hollywood when this happened, and my understanding is that the armor is supposed to handle it first, then clear it, then give it to the first AD, who should then double clear it, and then it's handed directly to the talent. But what the fuck does the AD know about clearing a gun? It was dummy rounds. They were supposed to be, not blanks. A dummy round is a prop ammo meant to look real, but with the powder and primer removed. The dummy round is for down the barrel shot for the right look. First AD is the number one safety representative, but also just one of the cogs in the wheel of responsibility that failed in this case. But when the actor fired the gun, a live round hit Hutchins, 42, in the chest and wounded Souza, 48, who was nearby. Hutchins was pronounced dead at the hospital after being airlifted. Before Thursday's shooting, some crew members quit the production over concerns related to safety, including gun inspections and COVID-19 protocols not being followed. Directors are only in charge of the actors, and ADs handle every other aspect of the set in direct communication with the art and prop departments. It's a multi-stage process. Also, most ADs are prop masters. They deal with props and weapons specialists. Is most about procuring the weapon and making sure it's error correct. No F on my end. I don't know why it F'd on your end, chatters. If you're handling a lethal weapon, it doesn't matter who says what's on you to check, be careful and safe. Dude, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? I need people to understand one thing, okay? If you have delegated a task to a specialist, it's like saying, bro, it's on you as like the fucking, it's on you when you're getting surgery to like double check what your doctor is doing. You know what I mean? This is a fucking very serious thing. That's why they hire specialists. You know what I mean? You don't know what the fuck you're doing with a gun. Most actors don't know what the fuck how a gun works. Most people don't know the difference between a blank or a dummy or a fucking a live round, okay? Most people, even weapons experts, okay, who are maybe sleepy because they have additional treks to go through, the additional hurdles to jump through, because the production cut costs, are going to have issues on site. If anything, Alec Baldwin's dumbass literally looking at the gun and unloading it and putting the bullets back in would make it more unsafe. That's what I'm trying to describe to you. Alec Baldwin, as not a actor, but as a producer, depending on what level of oversight he had over the conditions on the fucking set, is more liable than Alec Baldwin, the fucking actor. Okay? That's the difference here. But having said that, is the American court system going to try Alec Baldwin as a workplace, like as a boss that like cut corners? I don't know.
A lot of people have been wanting to hear my take on the
but if you're thinking like as a fucking actor, he's supposed to check the gun before he shoots it, you're wrong. That's not how that works.
And I've been a little hesitant because I didn't want to make speculations. There wasn't much information, and I really wanted some more information to come out. Now there have been some court documents released, and I believe I can discuss the protocols that were breached, which led to the firearm killing cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and injuring director Joel Souza. For starters, my heart goes out to the Hutchins.
You're supposed to check the gun whenever you pick it up. It does not matter who you are, who gave it to you. No, I don't believe that. Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Anyone who's ever been taught how to use a firearm, if they were taught correctly, was never told to point it at somebody or anything they weren't willing to destroy. Alec did not do that, period. Shut up. You're talking about literally a fucking gun range, okay? Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. That is not how movie sets work. Because I understand your basic gun safety attitude. You're correct, okay? But we're not talking about a fucking gun range. You are not there shooting live ammo. The expectation is not you're not shooting live ammo. The expectation is that you're shooting ammunition that does not actually have a piece that fucking enters anything, a target. And yes, even blanks can actually harm someone, but you're, dude. It is reasonable for, oh my God, that chatter was correct, Hasan. I'm going to fucking lose my mind. The things that you would do at the regular fucking range okay? The things that you would do at the regular gun range when you are shooting live rounds is not the same as a movie set, which is supposed to be a controlled environment. What I mean by that is you are not supposed to, for example, reload the gun or load the bullets in yourself. That unironically makes the fucking scene less safe. Are you stupid? You're going to get some fucking dumbass who like was a waiter until 15 weeks ago on set to like load the bullets himself before a situation? Like, what are you, fucking crazy? That's not, you can't make that an industry standard. The fuck are you talking about? That's why you have the fucking armorer there. That's why you're supposed to have other safety people. You're just expecting, oh my God. I don't know. I don't know how you're like, I don't know why this is the expectation. You're the kind of person who would accidentally shoot someone on set. Now we moved beyond like what the adequate safety measures should be to literally, I'm the kind of person who would shoot someone on set. Now we've moved on to that point. Now you're just like imagining scenarios where I kill people. Thank you. The judge seems to think it's not as clear cut as you do. Why are you treating this so black and white? Well, it's not the judge. It's the DA that doesn't think that it says black and white. Yeah, just we're one step removed from people saying like, yeah, it's your fault that Alec Baldwin killed that person. Exactly.
His family, Joel Souza, and the entire crew. So one thing that's bugging me from all the articles is they keep talking about a misfire. Misfire 3 days before the incident. The incident was a misfire. Well, a misfire is when a gun doesn't fire. If what actually happened would be accidental discharge. First and foremost, most important protocol is no live ammo on the set. No live rounds. A live round is a cartridge with a slug in it, a bullet that can kill someone. It appears that rule was breached. And next, once you have your cart set up with your guns, you do not leave it unattended. You always have someone with their eyes on it from your department. From what I've read, the first assistant director walked outside of the set to the weapons cart and grabbed one of 3 weapons that were sitting there on a cart that was unattended. That's a breach. And the next breach in protocol is the first AD grabbing a gun. No one should grab a gun except the armorer or the prop master. They were using Western revolvers. And when we do that, we use real revolvers. And we use blanks for when there's gunfire. And then we use dummy rounds. You shake them, there are BBs inside where black powder normally would be. It's my understanding that it was a close-up on Alec Baldwin's revolver as he pulls it out of his holster and cocks it as he's pointing it at the camera. And since the camera's looking right down the barrel of the revolver, you've got to have dummy bullets in the cylinder. And if you're following protocol, you would take your dummy rounds into the set with an empty gun. You go to the first assistant director, clear the gun first. You run a rod through the barrel to where they see the orange tip come out the other end of the barrel. They know that it's clear. Then you show them all the cylinder holes. They're empty. The gun is clear. Hand the dummy rounds to the assistant director, and he shakes each one. He hears the BBs, hands you a round, you put it in the gun, the same way for all 6. It's ultimately on the first assistant director to confirm that that gun is safe. But none of that happened. AD grabbing.
So he's saying it's the first AD and the prop person that is at fault here, and not Alec Baldwin.
A gun. No one should grab a gun except the armorer or the prop master. They were using Western revolver.
No, it doesn't matter. The gun wasn't even supposed to be shot. If the gun wasn't even supposed to be shot, there should be no bullets in it. If the gun is actually not supposed to be shot, but it's still supposed to look like it's loaded for the shot itself, if it's a close-up, then it's supposed to have dummy bullets in it, not even fucking blanks, like just straight up bullets that look like bullets but don't have any gunpowder in it. So that would 100% be the fault of the armor or the armor. That's the fault of the armor in that situation. I don't even think it's the first AD's fault in that circumstance. I guess like especially because I don't know.
Have someone with their eyes on it from your department. From what I've read, the first assistant director walked outside of the set to the weapons cart and grabbed one of 3 weapons that were sitting there on a cart that was unattended. That's a breach. And the next breach in protocol is the first AD grabbing a gun. No one should grab a gun except the armorer or the prop master. They were using Western revolvers. And when we do that, we use real revolvers. And we use blanks for when there's gunfire. And then we use dummy rounds. You shake them, there are BBs inside where black powder normally would be. It's my understanding that it was a close-up on Alec Baldwin's revolver as he pulls it out of his holster and cocks it as he's pointing it at the camera. And since the camera's looking right down the barrel of the revolver, you've got to have dummy bullets in the cylinder. And if you're following protocol, you would take your dummy rounds into the set with an empty gun. You go to the first assistant director, clear the gun.
And if the gun is cocked for the shot, that means it's super easy to pull that trigger, which is part of the reason why he probably accidentally fired it, even though people are saying he's not supposed to fire it. Yeah, but he's supposed to cock it. And revolvers, when you fucking cock it, you can accidentally fire it easily.
And first, you run a rod through the barrel to where they see the orange tip come out the other end of the barrel. They know that it's clear. Then you show them all the cylinder holes. They're empty. The gun is clear. Hand the dummy rounds to the assistant director, and he shakes each one. He hears the BBs, hands you a round, you put it in the gun, the same way for all 6. It's ultimately on the first assistant director to confirm that that gun is safe. But none of that happened. The first AD grabbed the gun off the cart, goes inside, hands it to Alec Baldwin, and says, "Cold gun." And
these gun pervs out here pretending like absolutely anybody should be expected to have educated in proper gun safety. Dude, it doesn't matter because they're wrong. No matter how well educated you are in gun safety, you literally, by the definition, are at that very moment doing something that no gun safety expert would tell you to do, which is point a fucking gun at a human being that you're not intending to kill. Because the expectation in that circumstance and the burden of responsibility absolutely falls on the first AD, which I didn't even know was supposed to be like the security assurance, the secondary security assurance on that, and the prop master. The fuck are gun perverts talking about? They're just so stupid in this situation. I know you're agreeing with me. I'm just like still mad at the fucking gun perverts who are acting like, oh, dude, like, what do you mean? He's supposed to like take the gun out and like look at it. No, that moment, it's compromised. In that moment, the moment that a fucking dumbass actor literally unloads the gun themselves, it's compromised. You cannot use that gun on the set in that very moment, on that shot. Especially because, like, dummy or not, even if it's a dummy round, like he mentioned, every single individual round needs to be checked before being put inside the gun. It's stupid.
unfortunately, you probably know the rest. And again, my heart goes out to everyone involved.
I got it. Hold on.
Family's attorney released a statement saying, in part, "We support the charges and fervently hope the justice system works to protect the public and hold accountable those who break the law."
The million-dollar question here, authorities say they still don't know how those live rounds made it onto the set. If found guilty, Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed face up to 18 months to 5 years in prison. Guys.
Thank you, Lindsay. And let's bring in ABC News chief legal analyst Dan Abrams. And Dan, what is your reaction to these charges?
They had the book thrown at them. I mean, this is the maximum possible charges that could have been on the table, because you're not just talking about involuntary manslaughter. You're talking about another theory of involuntary manslaughter, which has an enhancement for using a weapon, which means that if convicted, a mandatory 5-year sentence. Prosecutor didn't have to go with that. I think that's an overcharge here. Why? Because even if you think Alec Baldwin ought to have been charged, even if you think involuntary manslaughter ought to apply, the enhancement for a gun, this more serious mandatory 5-year, isn't supposed to typically apply to a situation where the gun is the crime. It's supposed to apply to a situation where, for example, there's a robbery, right? And someone is killed in the context of the robbery. And you say, let's issue an enhancement here because they used a gun in the context of the robbery. Then you get the more severe potential involuntary manslaughter. So I wouldn't be surprised if that particular charge would get dismissed before any sort of trial, if there is going to be a trial at all.
And Baldwin's lawyer, he signaled they're going to fight this. What will his defense be?
The first line of defense is going to be with a judge to say the charges should be dismissed at a preliminary hearing. He's going to say this was a mistake. You can't criminalize an...
That's not good legal analysis. Prosecutors will always charge as high as possible. That's not true. No, prosecutors also charge what they can win. You're literally not right about that. Like, what? That's not true at all. Prosecutors will, prosecutors want to create a plea deal, which is precisely the reason why they do end up charging high. But if you go overboard, then you can, they don't want to get the case dismissed or anything like that. So no, they have to, it's way more delicate than the way you're presenting it. This chat literally has no idea what the hell they're talking about. Absolutely schizophrenic. Yeah, prosecutors go for wins, okay? My source is that I made it the fuck up. Meanwhile, I'm out here out of my fucking mind forgetting the top of the hour ad break, dude. What the fuck? 14 minutes in? How about you get charged with the top of the hour ad break, bitch? Which comes at the top of the fucking hour. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. Okay? How about I charge you with that? Unless you charge your credit card a $5 a month subscription or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime in an effort to avoid the top of the hour ad breaks. Maybe if you're lucky, you can get gifted a sub too. Black Kakarot, thank you for the 5. Get the subs. Just a 3-minute ad break now.
An error here. I relied on other people to tell me that this was not a gun with a live round.
And then you had the assistant director. He pleaded no contest to a separate gun charge. His attorney says they believe he has nothing to do with this. So what do you make of that? And what does that mean for Alec Baldwin? What does that mean for Gutierrez Reed?
I expect he'll be testifying against them. Now, he pled no contest here. What does that mean? It's effectively a guilty plea without taking responsibility. It means you're saying, I think.
Low key, like the assistant director seems more liable in this circumstance than Alec Baldwin himself, by the way. Which is weird that like the DA was or the prosecutor was like, yeah, no, you're good, actually. Like they cut a deal for him. I mean, it's not even low key, it's high key. Why the fuck is everybody so open and shut on this? I haven't even looked at all the details of this matter, and chat was already up my fucking asshole, giving me information that like wasn't even fucking true, with expectations that were not even supposed to be like placed upon the actor in that situation. Chat was so certain when I first came in here. The Gravy, thank you for the 5. Get the subs. Chat was so fucking certain, like, oh, Alec Baldwin is supposed to check the gun. The absolute expectation is that you're supposed to check the gun. All the fucking gun perverts in the chat. Check the gun how, bro? Unload it? What are you, crazy? Check the gun how? By looking into the barrel like this? It says, check the chamber, dumb fuck. Hey, idiot. The shot is supposed to have bullets in the gun. So what are you checking the chamber for? The shot itself is supposed to have bullets. It's supposed to have dummy bullets in the gun, and he's supposed to cock it back to the hammer. So what are you talking about? Just because you read an article or a streamer that you love read an article where it says the gun wasn't supposed to be fired in that case doesn't mean that like the gun could not have been accidentally fired in that situation without the actor's actual fault. Yeah, I mean, in case you want to show chat how similar dummy rounds are, here's a comparison. You can't tell the difference between a dummy round and a live round unless you literally take it out and shake it, as the other prop guy explained. You can't, because a dummy round is supposed to look like a live round. It's the entire point. But a live round has gunpowder in it. A dummy round does not have gunpowder in it. Okay? The entire point of a dummy round is that it's supposed to look like a live round. No, do dummy chatters have gunpowder in them? Maybe. Honestly, if you mess with that gun, you should have it rechecked by the armor to make sure he didn't screw it up and won't blast off on his own hand. Yeah, like, the irony is, like, Alec Baldwin. Everyone's like, Alec Baldwin is the fucking faulty party here. Alec Baldwin could have accidentally shot his dick off here, okay? Like, low-key, he could have shot himself just as easily as he accidentally shot the fucking, the cinematographer. If you're talking about unsafe work conditions that Alec Baldwin, and I don't know what level of responsibility he had over the production there, because executive producer and producer doesn't always mean what you think it means in Hollywood, especially. Like, I have managers, right? And back in the day, I had different managers, and my different managers, whenever there was a project that we were putting together to take out the market, like when we were talking to production studios and whatnot, would demand executive producer credit. They don't fucking know anything. They're not touching the project itself. They were just getting it for credit. So, like, in Hollywood, there's a lot of people who either finance the movie that are considered producers but don't touch anything. There are executive producers who don't do anything, okay? So I don't know what Alec Baldwin's, like, direct involvement is on the case. That could change the matter. That could change, like, the workplace safety conditions. But if he was actually one of the bosses, one of the main people in charge that actually created an unsafe workplace, then he could be liable in that regard. But if we're talking about, like, Alec Baldwin's, liabilities as an actor, if he was just a straight up actor, then no. I think that would be insane to charge him. Straight up. As simply just an actor who fucking thought the gun was cold and fired it. If your expectation is that, like, actors are supposed to violate safety protocols and, like, personally check the gun, you're wrong.
I think that if this case went to trial, there would be enough evidence to convict me. That's a no contest. But I'm not pleading guilty per se. I think that's probably a technicality here in the context of not wanting to admit it for a civil lawsuit, but he could be a very important witness in this case.
Well, we know you'll be on top of it for us. Thank you as always, man.
Well, hey, man. Should the actor be responsible for knowing if the firearm was properly checked before pointing it at someone and firing it? Well, if you violate workplace safety protocols, like handle a gun that hasn't been given to you by the AD or the prop master, if you are handling a gun without getting the prior go-ahead that it's a cold gun, then yes, you are liable, okay? If you took out the gun and you took out the bullets out of the gun and checked it yourself, you're more liable in that circumstance.
For the first time in nearly 30 years, a person was killed on a film set after being accidentally shot. Is Alec...
No, this is from a year ago. I don't think this says all of the, I don't think this says all the fucking things in it. Yeah, I'll listen to the DA on CNN.
Going to fire a projectile and kill someone without...
Here.
Director was injured. Josh Campbell's back with us from Santa Fe. He's with Santa Fe's district attorney, and this is her first...
Oh, XQC said the actor should check. Okay, that's why so many motherfuckers kept repeating, like, the actor should check the gun. That's insane. That's just objectively false. No.
TV interview since the charging decision. Josh?
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, thanks. I'm here with the district attorney. Madam District Attorney, thank you for speaking with us. I just want to start. How did you come to this prosecutive decision?
Well, along with my special prosecutor, we got the report from the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. We initiated an extensive review of that, and I will say that it was a well investigated case. But we had some follow up that we had to do, had to speak with some experts, and once we read through everything and researched the case law and the law here in New Mexico, we realized that we believe that there was probable cause to charge Alec Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez-Reed with involuntary manslaughter.
And what were some of the key pieces of evidence that you used that factored into that decision?
Yes, it is a bit sad when you realize that you're fucking debating mentally stunted juicers for the past fucking hour for no reason. When XQC himself is infinitely more agreeable, and if I were to have this conversation with him directly, I'm sure his mind would change, but his juicers are fucking arguing in a completely non-agreeable capacity.
Well, that there was such a lack of safety and safety standards on that set, that there were live rounds on set. They were mixed in with regular dummy rounds. Nobody was checking those, or at least they weren't checking them consistently. And then they somehow got loaded into a gun, handed off to Alec Baldwin. He didn't check it. He didn't do any of the things that he was supposed to do to make sure that he was safe or that anyone around him was safe. And then he pointed the gun at Halyna Hutchins and he pulled the trigger.
You talk about the safety on the set. As part of your investigation, was there one thing that was done or one thing that was said that sealed it for you, that this should be prosecuted?
No, actually, I think it was the totality of the circumstances, that this was a really fast and loose set, and that nobody was doing their job. There were 3 people that if they had done their job that day, this tragedy wouldn't have happened. And that's David Halls, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, and Alec Baldwin.
What do you mean, Alec Baldwin? Bro, what the fuck are they? Yo, I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy. It's just, what do you mean? What is he's not, his job isn't to fucking figure out whether the gun has a bullet in it or not. What the fuck? Again, once again, fuck Alec Baldwin, but like, how the fuck is that the expectation? That's crazy to me. I don't know. That's wild.
If they had just done their basic duties, we wouldn't be standing here.
Can you help our viewers understand? So the state officials did a report. It was signed by the chief medical investigator saying that there was no compelling evidence that this was
not even on some ecstasy dick rider shit, but both parties should have checked to ensure the weapon was safe and didn't have live rounds in the gun. It's literally the first weapon safety rule. They drill you in the military, treat every weapon as if it were loaded. I'm going to literally get a military gun and fucking kiss myself with it if I have 17-month subscribers who are failing to demonstrate basic competency here. Just please, I don't know what happened to you at basic training. I don't know what's going on. Please understand, you as a dumbass actor, okay, handling the gun would be a violation of safety protocols. Please understand, okay? I know this motherfucker was in the Marine Corps. There is no way this is a healthy diet of crayons that you consumed. Your responsibility as an actor is not to check the weapon, because if you check the weapon yourself, okay, the revolver, what are you supposed to do? Take the gun out? Take the bullets out? What are you talking about? At that point, it's over. You can't use that gun. You can't use that gun. You need to immediately drop the fucking gun and have the proper professional look at it, okay? That's crazy. What if you fucking, like, there are so many components in this story that would make it so dangerous if an actor was routinely checking the gun before using it on set. He didn't do anything that he wasn't supposed to do with the gun, as far as I can tell. If you're saying he pulled the trigger, again, he thinks that there's dummies in there. If you cock the gun back, or if you cock the hammer, okay, on the revolver, you now have a hair trigger, okay? He's supposed to cock it back for the fucking scene. He's shooting the scene. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. If he on accident touches if he on accident touches the trigger, at that point it is on, in my opinion, the AD and also the prop master, or rather the person who, put bullets in the fucking gun. Now, if we're talking about Alec Baldwin's responsibility as someone who has control over the filming, if we're talking about his secondary responsibility, I don't know how much control he has over the process. I don't know how much he was like fucking pushing people personally. I don't know how much he can do as a producer. I don't know what his exact production credits are, okay? But understand that as a producer, if he is a genuine producer on the set who's like pushing people, creating an unsafe work environment, cutting corners, then yes, as a producer in charge of the project, he could be legally liable for creating the unsafe work conditions. Okay, not just as a funder. People are saying he funded it. That doesn't matter. If that was the case, you know how many people fucking fund a movie? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, shut up. You know how many people are producers on a fucking movie? Shut the fuck up. The DA didn't mention all 11 other fucking producers, I assume, on a movie, okay? Only Alec Baldwin's name was mentioned that isn't the AD or the person responsible for putting the bullets in the gun. I need to understand what the DA does.
It was intentional, right?
Right.
So help our viewers understand, if it's an accident, which most people seem to think it is, why is that a crime?
Because just because it's an accident doesn't mean...
Yeah, if it was a non-celebrity actor, if it wasn't fucking dickhead Alec Baldwin, people would be defending the actor as a worker put in an unsafe situation. 100%.
that it's not criminal. Our involuntary manslaughter statute covers unintentional killings, unintentional homicides. The rest of our homicide statutes cover intentional, but unintentional means they didn't mean to do it. They didn't have the intent to kill. But it happened anyway, and it happened because of more than mere negligence, because of they didn't exercise due caution or circumspection, and that's what happened here.
And what's your response to, there might be people in Baldwin's camp who say that you were overcharging this?
Well, we disagree, and we're going to be taking that in front of a judge and allowing the judge to decide on probable cause. But we think that there is enough there, more than enough there, to move forward on these charges and possibly to get through the preliminary hearing stage and on to trial.
And can you just break down the specific charges? So I was reading through your announcement. You say that
Alec Baldwin is a producer. I didn't hear Casey Brandenstein's name be mentioned. I didn't hear Matt Del Piano, Tyler Gould, Matthew Helderman, Matthew Hutchins, Nathan Klinger, Angel Negum, Gabrielle Pickle, Ryan Donnell Smith. Where are the fucking names of any of these other people? Why are they not charged? Why the fuck is Alec Baldwin the only person charged? That's so funny that her last name, or his last name is Pickle, but that's unrelated.
that both Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and Alec Baldwin have been charged with 2 counts of involuntary
manslaughter. Oh, they added him as EP after the incident. Okay.
Well, and those are 2 counts in the alternative. So
Matthew
when
Hutchins.
this goes in front of a jury, the jury could find they're guilty on both, but since they're in the alternative, they will only be sentenced as to 1 count. The first part of the involuntary that we'll be charging is that they acted without due caution and circumspection, meaning they weren't just negligent in their duties, but that they were on notice, that they had duties, and that they should have done or not done something that didn't happen on that set, meaning they should have checked the bullets, they should have checked the gun. They shouldn't have even been using a live gun that day. They should have been using a rubber or a plastic gun. All of these things go together and show that there was just this complacency.
No, that's fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. No, that's fucking bullshit. What the fuck is she saying? On what level do you shoot a close-up? Why are there dummies then? Dummy? Why are there even dummy bullets then? Because it's supposed to look realistic. It's a close-up shot. That's so stupid, dude. Fuck this DA. Yo, suck my dick, dude. Get the fuck out of here. You said you're supposed to use a plastic or a rubber gun? What the fuck are you talking about? It's literally a close-up shot. Why the fuck do they have dummy bullets then as a concept? Even if they are setting up the shot. Even if they're setting up the shot. Ultimately, the person that is responsible for this is 100% the person who gave Alec Baldwin the gun and said it was a cold gun. I don't know why there were live rounds on set.
Lack of care on that set, and it's more than negligence, and I would say it rises to recklessness. The other is...
Anyway, I'm not even, for the record, I'm not even saying like, I'm not even saying Alec Baldwin is not liable in this situation. He's just, I don't think he's liable as an actor, okay? That's my point. I hope everybody understands. If we're talking about Alec Baldwin as simply an actor involved in this, he is not liable. That's insane. That's insane, dude. Like, any moment that the expectation is on the actor to know what the fuck he's handling is a moment that you don't even need you don't need any safety protocols. Fuck it, YOLO. All actors should just be trained with guns. And not just guns, by the way, because, every fucking jarhead in the chat chimed in on this issue. Not just guns, but trained in prop guns. Maybe even pyrotechnics. Fuck it, dude. We should just make the actors also line up the shots themselves. Fuck it, YOLO. Do you agree all producers are liable for the unsafe set then? not all producers, depending on what level of involvement, because I already just mentioned Alabama Tanky, that producer is a very vague term for Hollywood, especially executive producers, okay? Producers could be responsible for handling one part of the process, a bunch of different components, or nothing at all, and they're just simply getting a producer credit. Now, that's usually executive producers that get the EP credit without doing anything because they're financing the movie. But ultimately, like, even a producer could get absolutely nothing. A producer, an executive producer, will have no responsibility whatsoever on the set. That is such a dumb take. Come on, man. We want better safety on sets. No. Oh my God. I want to kiss myself with a dummy gun. Okay. Dude, you are so stupid. Shut the fuck up. Please shut your mouth. Just stop. He still had safety duties he didn't do. You do not know what you are talking about. You're just literally thinking about it from your own personal perspective. If you have the expectation that like every actor needs to fucking check a gun, I don't know what to tell you. You're just delusional. You're wrong. That's why there are people that are supposed to check it for the actor. Please stop. Oh my God.
Goes hand in hand with a misdemeanor, a petty misdemeanor here in New Mexico called negligent use of a deadly weapon. And that is that someone handled or used or touched a gun in a negligent manner. And once we show that, then that can lead to the second alternative theory of involuntary manslaughter.
Does it matter for an actor? Obviously, there's been this discussion about safety on sets. The last time I interviewed you, you even mentioned like you were surprised to learn that these sets operate like this in some circumstances. But if you have an actor with what he or she thinks is a prop gun, not a real gun, is that actual negligence if it turns out that gun can actually shoot?
It's more than that. Every person that handles a gun has a duty to make sure that if they are going to handle that gun, point it at someone and
yeah, this is dumb as fuck. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. Shut up.
Pull the trigger, that it is not going to fire a projectile. And
that's so stupid. That is so that's so unacceptably stupid. That's so dumb. Oh my God, this is the dumbest fucking take. Yo, this has to be for PR. There's no fucking shot. This has to be for PR. Oh, people saying she's right. Just fucking, I'm done. I can't talk about this any further. Okay. Everyone agrees that guns are insanely dangerous, okay? In this community, at least. I love shooting guns. I'm telling you. That is delusional for this specific instance. The burden of responsibility being set on the actor in that instance is fucking insane because from the perspective of the actor, he's not shooting a real gun. He's shooting what is already been cleared by safety protocols, a fucking gun with no real bullets in it, okay? He's not even supposed to be shooting it. He's just cocking it back, but even that is as dangerous as shooting it. Because if proper safety measures were being taken in this circumstance, then there would never be an instance where you're pointing a fucking gun directly at the head or vicinity of someone who you are not intending to shoot. That's safety 101. You point your gun downrange. You don't point it at anyone that you do not intend to shoot and kill, okay? Every gun lover that shoves a Glock in their fucking asshole to come knows this rule, okay? Every single gun pervert in the chat that's chiming understands that it is the number one rule. So fundamentally, the moment that you're talking about a fucking lineup shot where you're supposed to be doing a close-up of the cocking of a gun, you've already violated the gun safety rules. In this world, there is no more close-up shots on guns, okay? That's what the DA wants, I guess. A world in which you can't have a close-up shot. Because that is insane. It happens in movies all the fucking time. And because there are close-up shots on guns and shit like that, okay, and plenty of other instances where guns are being used on set, there are safety rules specifically designed around this. And those safety rules dictate that the actor does not touch the fucking gun. How the expectation that the actor should know what the fuck to do with a gun is insane. It's insane. It's an insane statement.
And kill someone. And this is really about justice for Halyna Hutchins. We've talked to many actors, A-list and otherwise, that have said that they always check their guns, or they have someone check it in front of them. So it's not an actor.
That is what you... Oh my God, I'm spitting. That's what she got her entire case around. That's awesome. The open and shut case, man. Thank you, DA.
Doesn't get a free pass just because they're an actor. And that's what's so important, is that we're saying here in New Mexico, everyone's equal under the law. Everyone has to follow their duties and do what's right.
This is a Republican clout. I don't even know what her political background is, but it seems like a Republican clout shark. 100%. That's insane. That is insane, dude. Yeah, totally. Okay, good luck with this, guys. An individual cannot have the kind of duty. They're operating under the assumption that bullets are fake and have been told by hired professionals whose job is to ensure that it's fake, especially when the other side of it is idiotic, especially when, if the fucking guy who is handling, she's a Democrat, okay, doesn't matter, career move regardless. If the fucking guy, if the safety measures that the actor is supposed to take involve the actor touching the gun, you violated the actual safety measures. And I can give you examples of this. For example, let's not say it's a revolver. Let's say it's a regular fucking gun. Okay, let's say it's a Glock. Okay? Let's say it's a Glock. You unload the bullets yourself to check, to make sure. You open up the gun. You take the fucking, you take the magazine out. You look at it. And you look at the bullets individually. You inspect them. First of all, you have no idea if those are the dummies or whatnot, but let's say you do. Okay, this is a hypothetical, not an example. No, it is actually an example. I'm going to give you an example. Because what happened with Brandon Lee was a similar thing that would happen as an example from the hypothetical that I'm mentioning. Having a fucking dummy, or having a dummy lodged in front of having a dummy bullet lodged in front of a fucking blank would cause the dummy to be fired like a projectile, as if it is a real bullet. Bro, I don't know why you're hellbent on defending Hollywood and Alec Baldwin. You should make it so that anyone, even if an actor wields a firearm, they don't point it and aim it at someone. If you need to point it at a cameraman, you tell the set and clear from behind the camera. Oh my God. I'm done. We can't do this.
And take that safety into account so that this doesn't ever happen again.
And is Baldwin being charged as an actor who was holding the gun, or as a producer on the set who was negligent about the safety standards? Can you help describe that?
He's being charged as both. He was the actor that pulled the trigger, so certainly he's charged as an actor.
No, that's bullshit. As a producer, fine. As an actor, bullshit.
But also as a producer, he also had a duty to make sure that the set was safe. And we know from our investigation that there had been accidental misfires prior to this, that there were people that were complaining about safety on set. And so he should have been aware that safety was an issue on set.
Yeah. All these gun safety freaks who love guns and hate Alec Baldwin because he's like a typical lib who fucking shits on guns a lot are horny as fuck. But what they fail to recognize, as you're correctly pointing out, Vine Maple, is that Alec Baldwin checking the gun himself would be a clear-cut violation of the set's safety rules, is Hollywood's safety rules. You would be violating it if you fucked around with the gun.
And then as an actor that day, he should have checked that gun, checked those projectiles.
And just a couple more questions.
But if he's being charged as a producer, why aren't other producers being charged? Why aren't other producers being charged? If he is charged as a producer in creating an unsafe work environment, which I agree, I don't know the elements here. I don't know how involved he was in rushing the project or whatever the fuck. But why isn't the production company charged? Why isn't anyone else on the production company charged? Why aren't any of the executives that also add additional pressures charged. Let's be real, okay? Should they be? Yes. Yes. Anyone that created an unsafe environment in that regard should be charged. If Alec Baldwin is, as a producer, rushing the set, making sure that cutting corners, cutting costs, and making sure that they're on time and genuinely pushing them to do unsafe shit, should he be charged? Absolutely. Alec Baldwin as an actor, insane. Insane fucking take. Insane sentiment, insane take. Shut the fuck up. Seriously. You're out of your fucking mind. Okay? You're out of your fucking mind. This person is unbearable. They are absolutely doing this for clout. They are a clout-hungry DA. Many such cases of clout-hungry DAs exist. They're going after a high-profile target. It's evidence. It's evident by the fact that they gave the primary party, the AD, okay, the primary party who was the most responsible, a way out, basically, for cooperating with her. Try and set a case. I think Alec Baldwin has enough money and enough clout to fucking eat her ass alive. Okay? That's my take on it.
I know your time is short. Do you expect any type of plea agreement from Baldwin or Gutierrez-Reed? Have those discussions started?
That's not something I can comment at this time. It's unethical for a prosecutor to talk about plea negotiations or potential plea deals.
Were they given a heads up that this was coming?
Yes.
They were.
They were.
How did those discussions go?
We have been in, I would say, almost constant communication with the opposing parties' counsels for about the last 6 weeks. They didn't know exactly what was coming, but they were aware that we were contemplating charges, and they were aware of what the contemplated charges were.
And just two more questions. So what happens next? So once these charges are filed, which I assume is tomorrow, right? Is that the plan?
It'll be before the end of this month.
Before the end of this month. So then what happens? Are these defendants then required to come back to New Mexico, or will they be placed under arrest? How does that work?
No, we will not be asking for an arrest. In typical cases in this county, the way that we handle it is we'll send out what's called a summons. From that, the court will set what's called a first appearance, or it's basically an arraignment. And at that point, they will either have to come here or they might do a video arraignment. We have been doing those since COVID. And they will get their conditions of release and enter not guilty pleas.
And finally, last time you and I spoke, which was right after this tragic incident occurred.
Lawyer talks
prop
about
guns can be. How could this happen? Should Baldwin have checked the gun himself? Well, given how complicated it can be to film guns, it's not as simple as discharging live rounds. It's imperative that firearms experts check these weapons. It's also crucial for everyone on set to observe safety protocols. For example, in real life, you're never supposed to point a gun at a person. But typically on the set of a film, actors point the gun at the
Oh my God, maybe people will agree now that Legal Eagle is saying the exact same thing. Wow, amazing. Rule number 1 of gun safety violated for a movie shot. That's crazy. Oh, wow.
the camera all the time. But everyone in the line of fire would be wearing goggles and face masks. They'd also stand behind a Perspex screen. Hutchins and Souza were apparently checking camera angles by looking at the monitor when they were struck during the process. So this is a lot of background, but it's necessary to determine whether anyone faces criminal or civil liability as a result of what happened. So let's talk about the liability of the cast and crew. Let's start with actor Alec Baldwin. When the shooting made headlines, Baldwin's political opponents immediately shared their thoughts. And of course, it's natural to point the finger at Baldwin because he's the one that physically pulled the trigger of the gun in this case. But there's a difference between an accidental shooting on a movie set and an intentional killing. New Mexico criminal law defines murder as the killing of one human being by another without lawful justification or excuse. And we've talked about the mental states required for murder in the first degree, which usually requires malice aforethought, which means that the defendant planned to commit murder without cause or provocation. Manslaughter, on the other hand, is defined as the, quote, unlawful killing of a human being without malice. Because manslaughter does not involve the mental state of malice, it's considered less serious.
I'm glad Legal Eagle weighed in on this. It's just so funny because all the dumb, like, gun safety weirdos also absolutely fucking love John Wick. How the fuck do you think movies like John Wick get filmed, dog?
than murder. And malice aforethought is a criminal term of art that I'm not going to go into the nuances here, but it doesn't mean anger necessarily. I'm going to assume that Baldwin did not intend to hurt anyone here, so that means murder is off the table. Now, New Mexico manslaughter cases are classified as either involuntary or voluntary. Voluntary manslaughter involves a killing that occurs during a, quote, sudden quarrel or in the heat of passion. As far as we know, that doesn't apply to anyone on the Rust film set, including Baldwin. The crime of involuntary manslaughter involves a killing that occurs in the commission of some other unlawful act or a felony crime. Involuntary manslaughter also involves a killing that occurs while the defendant is engaging in a lawful but dangerous act without exercising due caution and circumspection. And an example of an involuntary manslaughter might be a fatal traffic accident caused by a driver who was texting while driving. And to prove involuntary manslaughter, prosecutors must show three things. First, that someone was killed as a result of an act of the defendant. Second, that the act was inherently dangerous or done recklessly. And third, that the defendant should have known the act threatened the lives of others. And prosecutors don't need to prove intent in New Mexico for involuntary manslaughter because it can be committed recklessly or through an inherently dangerous act. And the primary defense to involuntary manslaughter is that it was just an accident. A defendant can show that they didn't act irresponsibly or didn't know that their action could have resulted in another person's death. So the question is, did Baldwin act recklessly or commit an inherently dangerous act? Did he violate standard safety procedures by pointing the gun directly at people? Well, the early reports suggest that Baldwin didn't just pick up the gun and start pointing it at people. According to the crew members who spoke to the Los Angeles Times, quote, Baldwin removed the gun from its holster once without incident, but the second time he did so, ammunition flew towards the trio around the monitor. This suggests there was something wrong with the weapon, but shouldn't Baldwin have checked the gun himself? Wouldn't anyone handling a firearm check the gun themselves? Well, Mike Trisano, an armorer who worked with Alec Baldwin in the 1998 movie Thick as Thieves, said that, quote, he was great to work with and was very safe. I was surprised to hear it was him. He was always on the mark and very professional. He's not stupid. Industry insiders seem to indicate that it's totally normal for an actor to rely on the rest of the film crew to properly handle the weapons, especially when...
Damn, that's crazy. If only the fucking DA talked to some industry insiders that also gave her that pretty basic fuck... Like, no, fuck that. You can come to the conclusion by exercising 3.5 seconds of critical thinking. You don't even need to talk to industry insiders. You could literally come to that conclusion on your own by asking very simple questions. Can every random Tom, Dick, and Harry that's an actor that is handling a gun on set have the capability and demonstrate like proper safety protocols on their own, take matters into their hands? Okay, are they capable of doing that? Is that expectation reasonable? And then finally ask the secondary question, if they are, then why the fuck is there an armorer, a prop master, and a fucking assistant director there that's actually doing the real safety measures? That's it. That's all you needed to do was ask that fucking question. Like, well, I mean, there's clearly like a safety check here. There's a standard here. Did Alec Baldwin violate it? No. Actors are just actors. They act. They are not doing pyrotechnics. They are not handling the weapons. They're just holding it as an actor would hold it, as the character that they're behaving like would hold it on scene. That's it. Just like a Twitch streamer serves you the top of the hour ad break. That's what the Twitch streamer's job is. Serving you the top of the hour ad break and then telling you that you can avoid said ads by subscribing for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Or by telling you could avoid the ads by getting gifted a sub. Baby Matcha Latte, thank you for the 5 get the subs. Here's the
some of the crew have
3-minute ad break
explicitly
now.
told the actor that the gun is safe to be used in the circumstances. And that probably makes sense to delegate this responsibility. Actors aren't necessarily going to know all the ins and outs of all the different firearms, especially when different kinds of ammunition are used in the same scene. And of course, if actors did have to recheck every firearm that they were given, that could create even more uncertainty and allow things to go wrong in different ways.
Yup. Thank you, Legal Eagle, for the brilliant analysis. Legal Eagle, if you guys had watched his fucking video instead of like every other one that you watch where you developed your fucking wrong opinions, you would already have come to this conclusion, and you could have repeated his good takes instead.
If they didn't reload the weapon.
Why don't you think of this? These are, oh my God, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, shut the fuck up.
Correctly. So this sort of delegation, in my mind at least, as an industry standard, seems like it makes sense. So under the scenario as we know it, for Baldwin to be charged, he'd probably have to know that there was a live round in the gun ahead of time. A weapons expert said once the weapon is loaded, it's impossible to tell what's inside. And Trisano said that it was not Baldwin's job to check the gun. Quote, someone professional on set should have been handling that gun. This makes no sense. So then the only question is whether Baldwin was negligent or reckless in handling the weapon. It doesn't seem that we have any facts to indicate that, for example, he was playing around with the gun or doing things that someone told him not to do, which is probably what would be necessary. So although Baldwin probably won't face any criminal charges, the likelihood that he is going to be sued as a producer of the movie is probably pretty high. But that doesn't mean that no one from the Rust film will face criminal liability. Is it possible that Baldwin or others could be charged with another crime like negligent use of a deadly weapon? Well, negligent use of a deadly weapon consists of 1, discharging the firearm into any building or vehicle or so as to knowingly endanger a person or his property. 2, carrying a firearm while under the influence of an intoxicant or narcotic. 3, endangering the safety of another by handling or using a firearm or other deadly weapon in a negligent manner. Or 4, discharging a firearm within 150 yards of a dwelling or building. Now, subsection 3 may be in play in this case. An early report said that the New Mexico police were trying to determine whether the gun would
This Mike Tristano guy doesn't sound like he knows what he's talking about. Unless he says that Baldwin is guilty because he should have checked the gun himself. Yeah, I agree. Hey, this expert opinion that you got from an armorer who like worked with Alec Baldwin in prior years doesn't know what he's talking about because he doesn't agree with my made up. I know you're joking. I know you're joking. I know. That's why I'm reading it out loud and laughing about it instead of fucking screaming my face off. Unless it agrees with me, it disagrees with me, and therefore it's wrong. Anyway, it's weird that this is the biggest story right now. I mean, it's not that weird. I hope I was able to change some people's minds. Okay, I hope that I was able to, in this process, change some people's minds. Because this woman is out of her fucking mind, okay? Straight up. If she's charging Alec Baldwin as a producer, which doesn't seem like she's doing that, I think she's charging Alec Baldwin on the basis that he's Alec Baldwin. If she's charging him as a producer who created an unsafe work environment, that's fine. That's valid. But she's not charging anybody else that also has that responsibility. Charging him as a actor that did something that he was not supposed to is insane. Okay? Absolutely fucking insane. I'm sorry. This is on the AD. This is on the, not the armor, but the prop master, I guess. Like, whoever touched that gun, who's supposed to touch that gun, did the wrong thing. Alec Baldwin, on the other hand, literally followed proper gun safety in the not regular, not the proper gun safety at a fucking range, but proper gun safety and handling regulations on set. Okay? The expectation that he was supposed to do something more would be in violation of the proper gun safety on set, like the rules on set. Also, having said that, Alec Baldwin going to jail would be pretty funny. I agree. It would be kind of funny. I understand the irony of the situation. He's like a big anti-gun guy. He's a huge liberal. Everybody hates him, yada, yada, yada. He's like kind of annoying. But ultimately, if you care about justice being served in this circumstance, you should probably try to get the responsible party, right? And the responsible party isn't going to be who you think is going to make the headlines. Feel me?